Alright, what's up guys? We are back and we have another festival. These are the best things in Master Duels. The festivals are awesome, give you an opportunity to play something different. This is the Legend Anthology Festival. There's a huge ban list for this, so you really have to know kind of what you're navigating through. We'll look at the loner decks real quick. We've got 3 loner decks. Konami's mad toxic for this. They have 2 burn decks and an Exodia deck, which is kind of insane. They've got this is not Marincess, this is actually Trickstar. Like, this is a serviceable good deck, burns your opponent, wins through burning. We've also got Blaze Accelerator / Volcanics. This deck again is a good burn deck. It doesn't have the FTK available to it because they hit the spiritual fire. The spiritual fire card, they hit that. They did keep Hita, the fire channeler, so at least they kept that. So the deck is very, very consistent, but like I said, it takes about 2 turns to win. You can't FTK your opponent. And then, of course, you've got the new Exodia stuff through just a new support, and you can draw Exodia fairly easily and win like that. In general, it's just a good resource loop, but also you can summon Exodia or get Exodia to your hand. Now, before we get started on the top 5 decks, and these 5 decks will help you significantly, but you know what else can help you significantly?
Are you ready to take your Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Play experience to a new level? The Untapped GG Companion is here for you. Use the deck tracker to know exactly what cards you have in your deck, and to go over any cards you aren't familiar with yet by hovering over them. It instantly updates when you draw a card, and automatically hides if you check your extra deck or graveyard. This is the perfect tool to help you master a new deck. The Untapped GG Companion also lets you import decks directly into the game in seconds. Copy any YDK or YDKE deck string, create a new deck in game, click the Start Auto Import button, and let us take the wheel. Once the duel is over, check your win rate on your personal stats page. Brag among your friends and share your decks so they can import them into the game too. Start your path to master today by downloading the Untapped GG Companion at ygom.untapped.gg.
Alright, so here's the first deck. We have Predaplant. Predaplant is essentially unhit. The entire archetype is here. This is a deck that randomly slips through a lot of different cracks. As a matter of fact, I think if you create Predaplants, you can actually probably get away with playing Predaplants for both festivals. One festival is Fusion Synchro. The other festival is this Legend Anthology. This deck is pretty much a hit. The closest thing to a hit in this festival is the fact that some of the Super Poly targets got hit. In addition to the Super Poly target, Super Poly got hit itself. But like outside of that, this deck is pretty much unhit. You have the entire main deck, you have the entire extra deck, you have every single card in the entire archetype. This archetype is one of the few archetypes that can actually search Super Polymerization through the use of the Chimera Felicia. So this is one of the decks that is just like totally unhit, completely unhit. You have it at absolute full power, and because the ceiling is so much lower in this event, this deck has such a greater opportunity to compete, because again, it's not like you're going to be you're not getting FTK'd or anything like that. Hand traps aren't super duper important. They're not the end of the world. You have access to certain hand traps. But yeah, this deck is actually quite good in its pure form for this festival. Next up, we've got Cyberdarks. Now, I think this is actually like a real sleeper deck. At first I was going to put pure Cyber Dragons on this list, but then I realized that a lot of going second cards like Jizukiru and Lightning Storm and stuff like that are actually unfortunately banned. But this is another deck that you could probably get away with playing on both festivals. But this deck is actually another one that's like kind of outrageous. You can max out on hand traps like Infinite Impermanence. You also have DD Crow available to you, and you also have Effect Veiler. Those are like the 3 big hand traps that are available to you. But this deck is outrageous because you can summon a monster that is 5,000 attack that is unaffected by everything. I'm talking about Cyber Dark End Dragon. This is, you summon this, equip it with a Cyber End Dragon, and it's pretty much an unaffected monster. This format has no kaijus. This format has Underworld Goddess banned. I legitimately don't even know how you would out this card. I'm not even that trap card that books everything and then sends all unaffected monsters to the graveyard. I think that thing is banned too. I legitimately do not know how you would out this card once it hits the field. Like I actually don't know. I think you have to scoop. I don't think you can actually out it. And what's crazy about this deck is this is a structure deck. You buy 3 of this, you get all the free gems, and you basically pay yourself back. It's actually kind of like this structure deck in itself. This is basically, this build that I have here is basically 3 structure decks other than like Relinquished Anima and Ultimate Slayer. Just replace these with Effect Veilers, which you probably have from the bundle or just from playing in general. But yeah, this is like absolutely insane. This deck is super duper affordable, and probably, like I said, once this hits the field, you pretty much win. All right, this is Marincess. This is another deck that benefits enormously from the fact that kaijus, Underworld Goddess, stuff like that is just absolutely not in the metagame. This deck is almost unhit. There's only one card that really, well, two cards that really got hit. It's Marincess Dive, which is their like special summon from deck spell. In addition to Marincess Dive, you've also got the Marincess Wave, which is their like, it's like imperm from your hand. Well, it's always from your hand, but it's an imperm if you control a Marincess Link monster, but it's actually quite good. And yeah, those are the only two cards that are hit. They're still searchable. Most of the time, you really only searched one Marincess Wave anyway, so it doesn't really matter that it's hit, so you're just more likely to draw more of your generic stuff. Again, those are the only things that got hit in this entire deck. You can argue Zelantis also got hit, which is the Link 4, just the generic water Link 4. He also did get hit, but he's very good, but he wasn't like the end of the world. He had a cool interaction where you can banish everything on the field and then make it so that your opponent's monsters don't return, because it'll lock you in. It basically locks you into waters and it never returns. It's a cool interaction. You can't get away with that, but essentially the entire rest of the deck is totally unlocked, and the archetype has a brand new card. Trickstar Aqua Angel always counts as a Marincess card. So this deck is, again, very strong. Having to go second against this deck is really an uphill battle. Next is Heroes. Heroes is another one that kind of like slips through the cracks. Heroes slipped through the cracks, but didn't entirely slip through the cracks. It definitely took a couple of hits through those cracks. You don't have Phoenix Enforcer or DPE, and then you also don't have Dark Law. So those two cards were obviously very strong, but the deck is otherwise pretty much fully unhit. Again, you can't get to those boss monsters. You just play an older version of Heroes. It doesn't matter. Like, Heroes has so much support over so many years. Whatever gets hit, you just play something else. It's actually kind of incredible. You still have great boss monsters. You have Malicious Bane. You have the Shining Neos. Like, you still have a ton of interruptions. And because there are essentially no hand traps, you have Effect Veiler and Imperm. Those are not hand traps that actually stop Heroes. The hand traps that stop Heroes are Nibiru, Droll, stuff like that. Like, that stuff, the Maxi, the new Wing Beast one that is basically like a second Maxi. Like, those are the only things that actually stop Heroes. None of the hand traps in this actually stop Heroes. They impede Heroes slightly, but you have so much other stuff, it doesn't really matter. But this one is definitely absolutely really good. Okay, I just realized I messed up. I was supposed to have 3 Effect Veilers, and I had 3 Destiny Fusions. I was not... Destiny Fusion, you don't have to play. You have to play the Effect Veilers. Only because DPE got hit, there's no point to play it. You can actually play an alternative engine, Destiny Hero engine, but honestly, I think just playing 3 Effect Veilers is probably better. Okay, the last deck is going to be Shining Sarcophagus. This is another deck that is very strong. It is pretty much at full power. I don't think that there is really anything that got hit in this deck. Yeah, I don't think anything's hit. The entire deck is at full total power. Gandora's at full power, banishes everything. Ties That Bind, which is an absolutely outrageous card, is at full power. Shining Sarcophagus, True Silent, like, they're all at 3. The entire archetype is at 3. Nothing is really hit in this entire archetype. And the cool thing about this archetype is it doesn't actually need the extra deck. This extra deck is pretty much for show. This deck is here for nothing. You don't even go into the extra deck. You just set up with your main deck. You have all of these gigantic monsters. You have the spell negation. You have the targeting protection. You have the banish, like I said. You have the protection on the spell card. Like, overall, this deck is more so just an advantage engine than anything else, and you win through that. And it's a very strong deck for this particular event. These are the 5 decks that I have. There are definitely some honorable mentions that I could definitely tell you. Stuff like Plunder Patrol, stuff like, from what I can remember, Mutants. As always, Suships are probably, I didn't check it, but Suships are probably at full power, like they always are. So are Cosmos, Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, stuff like that. Let me know what you guys are playing, because there are a lot of cool decks that are available in this particular event that maybe I didn't see. So whatever you're playing, let me know in the comment section down below. La, 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 la.